We all experience a time in our lives when we start to question whether what we've been doing up till now is what we want to keep doing going forward. And then obviously usually the question follows, well, if this is not what I want to do anymore, then what do I want? And that often morphs into the question of our identity, because all of a sudden we don't know exactly who we are anymore because we don't want the things that we used to want anymore. And that leads us into the mother of all questions: who am I actually? Hey friends, welcome back. If you're new here, welcome to the tribe. My name is Mandy, and every Tuesday I sit down with you to talk about meaningful and empowering life topics. Usually when we get into that feeling of I don't actually even know who I am anymore, it can send us into a really dark space. It feels like the foundation that we've built our whole life on is starting to crumble, and we don't know where to run to get solid footing again. The first thing I want you to realize that even if your foundation is crumbling, what is beneath it is not a dark abyss. See it almost as the process of loosening the earth again so that new things can grow. And also realize that it's not a bad thing to ask yourself every now and again, who am I and what is my life really about? It's quite normal, and in fact it's an absolute necessity. And also it's exciting. It's like going on an adventure and discovering what else life has to offer for you, and also to discover parts of you that you haven't met yet. Imagine if you had stayed glued to the identity that you had between the ages of 1 to 10. Do you think that would be appropriate and would serve you to hold on to that identity when you're in your teens, or in your 20s, or in your 40s? Do you think a 60-year-old should behave and have the same priorities as a 20-year-old? Of course you don't, or at least I sincerely hope that you don't. We go through different life stages, and each life stage is vital to our survival and to our development. And in order to move on to the next life stage, we have to be willing to leave a little bit of the previous identity behind us to create space to move into the person that we are becoming. Who you were as a young child is not the same as who you were in your teens. And when you got to your 20s, you weren't the same as you were in your teens anymore. And when you got to your 30s, then you probably look back at your 20s and you thought, wow, I've got such a different outlook in life now. When you get to your 40s, you probably look back on your life and you think, why the hell did I care so much what others thought of me? Now, I would say in the first 20 to 30 years of our lives, we don't really question the changes that we go through. We all accept it as a natural part of our growth and development. And then after that, somewhere we start believing that we have to settle into our identity now. That yes, we are of course going to keep growing, but we're going to work from this foundation that we have and just expand from that. And the more we buy into that idea, the more uncomfortable and scared we are when that next life stage inevitably comes knocking at our doors. We forget that up to now, our lives have never stopped changing. We have redefined ourselves in a million small ways, and all of those steps were necessary and healthy parts of our development. How often have you said, I wish I knew then what I know now? Well, if you wouldn't have allowed yourself to evolve beyond who you were then, you wouldn't know what you know now. So don't stop yourself now. Allow yourself to keep growing no matter what age you are and no matter at what stage in life you are. I believe that with more or less every decade of our lives, we naturally look back at and re-evaluate our lives up till now. And we start questioning whether what lies ahead is still the same as what we wanted and believed in the past. But for some reason, the older we get, the more we cling onto the identity that we've established, and we think that we should stay there. And we forget that it has always been a natural part of us to evolve and to change. The next thing to realize is that the transition from one life stage to the next is not a clean cut. It's not like one day you realize, my outlook and priorities in life have changed since yesterday, so I think I'm a new version of myself today. No, it's a process, and this is really one where you don't have to feel like you need to rush and have it figured out immediately. Also, it's never really about finding an end destination. It's a continuous process. The moment you stop growing is the moment you die. So please don't kill yourself prematurely by inhibiting your own evolution. Once you have accepted that you change throughout your life stages, all of them, then you have created space for the journey of exploration and discovery to begin. Now you might wonder, well, where do I begin? Because I'm so damn confused. My favorite question to start this process with is always, what will give you the most peace at this moment? This often gives you a glimpse of what your heart is really calling for in this moment of your life. Another technique that I love to use is to create an alter ego. So you design this imaginary ideal person in as much detail as possible, usually by writing it down. And this unlocks a lot of clues as to what is really important to you and what you would really like to have in your life in this moment. And also it gives you a vision. And from there you can start to filter what you can implement in your life right now. And because it's a fun exercise and you're not describing yourself, you're describing someone else, you can see surprising aspects of yourself, things that you didn't know you would want or that you're interested in. You can also ask yourself, if I had all the resources in the world at my disposal, what would I want to do in the next 5 to 10 years of my life? What would bring me so much joy, and what problem would I want to solve for the world? It's just about asking the question and being curious about what comes up. Right now, it doesn't really matter whether it's possible or not. Right now, it's about connecting with your inner Sherlock Holmes and investigating the subtle clues of what is really important to you right now and what will make your life really meaningful if you start focusing and moving in that direction. You can also imagine yourself being on your deathbed and looking back at yourself in the life stage that you are in right now. What would be the best memories of this time? What would make you smile and feel at peace with what you see for your life in this moment? Slowly start to unpack and meet this new version of yourself and enjoy every bit of it. The exciting times, the confusing times, the exhilarating times, and the downright scary times. It's all part of being blessed enough to have the full human experience. And most importantly, just know that you are not alone. If you're feeling confused, if you're feeling like you're losing yourself and you don't know where you're going to, you are not alone. Everyone goes through this. Not everyone talks about it or shows it, but we all know the feeling. We all have experienced some level of that and are going to experience it at some point of our lives. So there's nothing wrong with you. Another thing that is just really important to mention as well is to be mindful and considerate toward those around you as you are going through changes. Remember that not even the ones closest to you know exactly what is going on in your inner world. So they might see shifts and changes, but they don't understand what is happening and why it's happening. And for them, it's probably even scarier than it is for you. Your change will affect them, so include them in the process. The extent to which you will share will differ depending on your situation, but at the very least, just give them a hint of what is happening. When you hear people say, "You have changed," don't dismiss them for not understanding you. Include them, gently explain to them what your journey is about and why you have changed or why you are in the process of changing. Especially if you're in a relationship, you want to let that person know how it will benefit them and the relationship as well, and that they will still be a part of you, that they won't lose connection with you, and that it will actually be for the good of your relationship and your life together. Maybe even open up the conversation and share with them the things that you are grappling with at the moment. That will help them get buy-in and maybe help think with you. Again, it very much depends on your situation. You will know what you can discuss with your partner and to what extent. But maybe by having the conversation, you will inspire them to look at their lives as well and how you can improve your lives together. You can help them on their journey as well and ask them the question, if you had all the resources in the world, what would you be doing in the next 5 to 10 years? Or if you had to design and create the ultimate person, what would that look like? The most beautiful conversation can come from that, and you might even learn something surprising about your partner. In the same breath though, just remember that every person has their own internal journey. Okay, just because you're in a relationship doesn't mean that things are going to happen at exactly the same time for you from a personal development point of view. So please honor that in your partner. They might not be where you are now. So don't expect that from them, but still just allow them to understand where you are. And of course, you can extend this to friends and family who are close to you as well. So if you find yourself in a space where you are questioning yourself, your identity, your life, and the meaning of everything, don't run away from it. Embrace it. Be excited about this journey ahead and about the person you are about to become. And I would like to leave you with this quote by Nietzsche. He who has attained the freedom of reason to any extent cannot for a long time regard himself otherwise than as a wanderer on the face of the earth, and not even as a traveler towards a final goal, for there is no such thing. But he certainly wants to observe and keep his eyes open to whatever actually happens in the world. Therefore he cannot attach his heart too firmly to anything individual. He must have in himself something wandering that takes pleasure in change and transitoriness. Transitoriness. I'm so gonna get that wrong. Is of 1 and 10. No, between. Hey, it's my first blooper. I don't know where I am. Where am I? Who am I? We have to keep. Sit. Or at least us as no. No. Probably I can't every time it's like a blooper standard. Probably that what you probably there it is again. Sometimes, guys, I'm gonna get a teleprompter, and then probably they will no. There'll still be bloopers because the word probably still exists. Every time you involve I believe I can fly. And we're going to do karaoke next. The continuous process. And also gives you. I feel like my life and my